Through their joined hands, Kate and Lyra communed with the Nexus core. Time lost meaning in that perfect connection. Ember, the transformed guardian, hovered above them, his massive body spanning dimensions, his wings touching realities that had no names in any language. Kate saw everything. The birth of stars, the slow dance of galaxies, the emergence of life on countless worlds, the rise and fall of civilizations spanning billions of years. The core showed her the interconnected web of existence, where all things influenced all other things, where separation was illusion. Most importantly, she saw the ancient Illyrians not as they had portrayed themselves in their histories, but as they truly were. They had not chosen to limit their abilities, out of wisdom or fear of misuse, but because they had reached an evolutionary dead end. Their powers had grown too great, their perspective too vast. They had begun to lose their connection to physical reality, existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. They had started to forget what it meant to be alive, to be part of the physical universe. The suppression of their abilities had been an act of survival, not sacrifice. Now Kate understood why human blood had transformed Lyra. Human DNA was adaptive, evolving constantly where Illyrian genetics had become fixed, rigid. Human blood didn't just unlock the suppressed abilities, it provided a framework that allowed those abilities to exist without the evolutionary dead end that had threatened the ancient Illyrians. It created a third path commander. Vrex watched frozen at the edge of his temporal prison, his face locked in an expression of rage and covetousness. He had sought the power of the core, believing it would make the Vashtar unstoppable. He could not comprehend that the core was not a weapon or tool but a consciousness, a perspective, a way of seeing reality itself. Lyra turned to Kate, her transformed eyes glowing with inner light. "Now we choose," she said. Her voice resonated with harmonics that seemed to come from multiple throats, as if many Lyras were speaking simultaneously. The Vashtar seek control. The ancient Illyrians sought transcendence. What do we seek? Kate Foster of Earth. Kate thought of her home planet, of humanity with all its flaws and potential, of the fragile alliance between Earth and Alaris that could now become something greater. "Understanding," she replied. "Not power, not control, just understanding and connection." Lyra smiled. The core vibrated in response, the chamber filling with light that somehow felt like approval. The princess extended her free hand toward the frozen Commander Vrex. The Vashtar leader remained paralyzed, but his eyes moved, tracking her movement. "He too is part of this," Lyra said. "He too has a role to play." Kate frowned. "He tried to kill us, to use us. He would enslave both our peoples." "Yes," Lyra acknowledged, "but his perspective is also part of the whole. The desire to control, to dominate, is a force in the universe as real as the desire to connect, to understand. Both are necessary. Both are part of the balance." Kate remembered what she had seen in the core, the vast web of existence where even opposing forces served the greater whole. She nodded slowly. "What happens now?" she asked. "We reweave the connection," Lyra said. "The ancient Illyrians severed the connection between the peoples when they suppressed their abilities, creating the schism that led to the Vashtar. They sought to prevent destruction, but instead ensured it would eventually come. We can heal that wound not by erasing differences but by creating understanding." Ember roared, his transformed voice containing harmonics impossible for mortal vocal cords. The guardian dragon circled the core 3 times, his massive body leaving trails of light that formed complex patterns in the air. Kate felt the core responding, its energy flowing through her, through Lyra, through Ember, forming a circuit, a complete connection. She saw possibilities branching outward like the roots of an infinite tree. Each decision creating new realities, new paths. She understood now. The core did not give power to reshape reality. It gave perspective to see which choices would lead to which outcomes. The ancient Illyrians had misunderstood thinking. They could control reality when in fact they were simply seeing its patterns more clearly. Lyra guided their joined hands to touch the core directly. The sensation was indescribable, like touching the mind of the universe itself. Kate saw her own DNA spiraling before her eyes, watched as it intertwined with Lyrius, the human and Ilarian genetic codes merging, separating, recombining in endless variations. Each combination creating new possibilities, new evolutionary paths. The guardian dragon. Ember expanded further, his body now containing what appeared to be actual galaxies in miniature. He was becoming a living bridge between dimensions, between species, between possibilities. Then the core pulsed once. The light in the chamber intensified, until Kate could see nothing else. She felt herself being unmade atom by atom, consciousness expanding beyond the limitations of her physical form. For a moment that stretched to infinity, she was everything, everywhere. Then reality reasserted itself. Kate found herself standing in the core chamber, her hand still joined with Lyra's. The princess looked different. The constellation patterns remained on her skin, but they were stable now, not constantly shifting. Her eyes had returned to normal silver, with flecks of amber. The only reminder of their communion with the core Ember had returned to his small form. The tiny dragon perched on Kate's shoulder once more, though his scales now permanently displayed patterns that matched the constellations, visible from Earth. The time freeze had ended. Commander Vrex and his Genesis warriors were moving again. But something had changed. The Vashtar leader looked around in confusion. His weapons lowered, his posture no longer aggressive. What happened? He stammered. The core. I saw you saw reality as it truly is, Lyra said gently. Not as something to be controlled, but as something to be understood. You saw your place in it. Commander. Your people's place. Vrex stared at his hands as if seeing them for the first time. We were wrong, he whispered. The ancient texts, the prophecies we misunderstood. The Genesis warriors behind him seemed similarly affected, their weapons forgotten, their faces showing wonder, confusion, even fear. Kate released Lyra's hand, stepping toward Vrex. The commander flinched, not in fear but in recognition. You are the human who... She struggled to find words to describe what he had experienced, the human who gave blood to a dying princess. Kate said simply, what followed was, beyond belief, wasn't it? Vrex nodded slowly. Yes, beyond belief, beyond understanding until now. A tremor shook the chamber, reminding them that outside the core battles still raged. Vashtar and Ilarian forces still fought, not knowing that everything had changed. We need to stop the fighting, Kate said. Yes, Lyra agreed. But how? The Vashtar will not simply retreat. The Ilarians will not simply forgive. Kate looked at the core still pulsing with energy, at Ember on her shoulder, at Vrex and his warriors standing. Confused but no longer hostile. We showed them. She said the same thing the core showed us. Lyra understood immediately, the perspective, the connection, the truth that we are all part of the same web of existence. Kate nodded, turning to Vrex. Commander, your forces respect you, follow you. Will they listen if you command them to stand down? Vrex straightened his posture, regaining some of his military bearing. They will. But the high command on our homeworld, one step at a time, Kate said. We stop the immediate fighting. Then we build something new. The commander nodded. This was not the victory I imagined, but perhaps it is the one we needed. Together they left the core chamber, returning through passages that now seemed to welcome all of them. Ilarian, Vashtar and human alike. The sanctuary itself had changed subtly, its crystal structures no longer discriminating between the once separate peoples. They emerged into chaos. The battle had intensified. Ilarian defenders were making a last stand before the core chamber. Vashtar forces pressed forward, relentless in their assault. Vrex stepped forward, raising his hands. Hold, he commanded, his voice amplified by his armor systems. The Vashtar forces froze in surprise, their weapons still raised, their discipline held as they awaited further orders. Ilarian defenders watched in confusion as Kate and Lyra emerged with the Vashtar commander. The core has spoken, Lyra announced, her voice carrying across the chamber. The war ends today. Elder Sylvain stepped forward, his ancient face showing disbelief. Princess, what has happened? We have communed with the core, Lyra explained. All of us together, the human. Kate, Foster Commander, Vrex, the guardian ember. We have seen the truth that was hidden from our ancestors. The core is not a weapon to be wielded, Kate added. It is a perspective to be understood. It shows the connections between all living things. The web that binds us all. Vrex signaled his forces. All Vashtar stand down. Weapons lowered. The mission parameters have changed. The Genesis warriors obeyed, though confusion was evident on their faces. The Ilarian defenders remained tense, unsure if this was some kind of trick. I have seen the truth, Commander Vrex declared. For 10,000 years, we Vashtar have sought what we believed was stolen from us, the power of our ancestors. But we misunderstood. That power was not control over reality. It was understanding of reality, something that cannot be taken, only shared. Elder Sylvain looked to Lyra. Is this true, Princess? Has the core changed them? Not changed. Elder Lyra corrected. Revealed to them as to us. The core shows each being the truth they need to see from their own perspective. The Vashtar sought control. They have seen that control is illusion. The Ilarians sought safety. They have seen that separation brings only greater danger. But we humans, Kate smiled. What did we seek? Connection. Lyra said, returning the smile. The ability to adapt. The council chamber was in chaos when Kate, Lyra, and Elder Moraine returned. Ilarian defenders rushed about preparing for battle. The crystal walls of the sanctuary pulsed with energy, defensive systems activating. Elder Sylvain stood in the center, issuing commands, his ancient face grim. The Vashtar have deployed ground forces, he announced. They seek to capture the sanctuary intact. How many? Kate asked, her military training taking over. Thousands, the Elder replied. Their entire Genesis core elite. Warriors genetically modified for combat. Kate checked her weapons and the systems of her damaged combat suit. It was designed for reconnaissance, not full battle, but it would have to do. I will help defend the sanctuary, she declared. Several Ilarian elders looked at her with surprise. The human would fight for us, one asked. She already has, Lyra said, stepping forward. Her blood saved my life. Now she offers her skills as a warrior. This is the alliance between our peoples made real. The sanctuary shook again, harder this time. Dust and crystal fragments fell from the ceiling. Kate could hear distant explosions. Elder Sylvain nodded to Kate with respect. We accept your aid, warrior, but understand our priority must be protecting the Nexus core. If the Vashtar reach it, they won't, Kate promised. Ilarian defenders entered the chamber carrying weapons. Unlike Earth weapons, these appeared to be grown rather than manufactured. Crystal staffs that glowed with inner light, slender blades that hummed with energy. Take this, Elder Moraine offered Kate a small crystal sphere. It will strengthen your armor for a time. Kate accepted the device, watching as it melted into her damaged combat suit, immediately repairing the cracked sections. The material hardened, becoming stronger than before. Lyra had been given a staff that responded to her touch, glowing with the same constellation patterns that marked her skin. She moved it experimentally, the weapon seeming to anticipate her movements. Kate felt Emberland on her shoulder. The small dragon chirped determinedly, his scales shifting to a deep red color. He will fight with you, Lyra translated. He has chosen you as his battle partner. The dragon nuzzled Kate's cheek, then flew to a position just above her right shoulder, ready to assist. The sanctuary trembled again. This time the crystal walls near the main entrance shattered. Vashtar warriors poured through the breach. Their bodies were tall, angular, covered in chitinous armor that seemed fused to their skin. They carried weapons that pulsed with sickly green energy. Ilarian defenders moved to meet them. Crystal staffs clashing against Vashtar blades, energy beams cutting through the air. Kate took position behind a fallen column, sighting down her blaster at the invaders. The first wave of Vashtar fell back, but more replaced them. These warriors were different, larger, more heavily armored. Their movements were unnaturally fast, precise. Genesis core, Lyra said, taking position beside Kate. Vashtar elite soldiers genetically engineered for war. They have been modifying their own DNA for generations, trying to recreate the powers of the Ancient Ones. Kate targeted one of the Genesis soldiers, firing 3 quick shots. The first 2 were absorbed by the warrior's armor, but the third found a weak point, dropping the soldier. The human weapons work differently than they expected. Kate noted, they can't fully shield against them. The battle intensified. Vashtar forces pushing deeper into the sanctuary, Illyrian defenders fighting valiantly but slowly giving ground. The crystal walls themselves seemed to fight back, growing sharp formations that impaled unwary Vashtar warriors, creating barriers that slowed their advance. Kate moved from position to position, targeting Genesis commanders, disrupting their formations. Ember flew above her, warning of flanking enemies, breathing small jets of flame to distract Vashtar soldiers at critical moments. The small dragon was surprisingly effective in battle, his speed and maneuverability making him nearly impossible to hit. Lyra fought like someone transformed. Her staff moved in impossible patterns, leaving trails of light that lingered in the air. Where the staff struck Vashtar warriors, their armor crumbled to dust. She seemed to anticipate every attack, moving with fluid grace, always one step ahead of her opponents. But there were too many Vashtar. The defenders were forced back deeper into the sanctuary. Elder Sylvain organized a final defensive line before the corridor leading to the Nexus core. "We must hold here," he commanded. "This passage is the only way to the core." Kate reloaded her blaster, conserving her remaining ammunition. She had fought alongside Marines in 3 campaigns, but never in a battle like this. The Vashtar fought with cold precision, their movements coordinated like parts of a single organism. A group of Genesis soldiers broke through the left flank. Kate fired, dropping 2. But her weapon clicked, empty. She drew her combat knife, preparing for close quarters battle. Ember shrieked a warning as a massive Vashtar warrior charged toward her. This one was different, nearly 8 feet tall, its armor covered in pulsing green veins, its eyes fixed on Kate with terrible recognition. The human with the blood, the creature hissed in broken English, "You will come with us. Your essence is required." Kate braced herself for the attack, but Lyra was suddenly there, her staff striking the massive warrior. The blow should have shattered the Vashtar's armor, but instead the staff passed through as if striking smoke. What? Kate gasped. The warrior laughed. "A phase shifter human. The princess cannot touch what exists between realities." The massive Vashtar struck, Lyra sending her flying across the chamber. She hit the crystal wall hard, slumping to the ground. Kate charged the warrior, her knife aimed at a joint in its armor. The blade connected, but like Lyra's staff, it passed through without effect. Ember dove at the Vashtar, his tiny body wrapped in flames. The dragon targeted the warrior's eyes, forcing it to shield its face. Kate used the distraction to retreat, helping Lyra to her feet. "It's using phase technology," Lyra said, blood trickling from a cut on her forehead, shifting partially out of our reality. "My weapons can't affect it. How do we fight something we can't touch?" Kate asked. The constellation patterns on Lyra's skin pulsed brightly. "Your blood," she whispered. "The human element, it gives me an idea." Before she could explain, the massive Vashtar charged again, its huge hands reaching for Kate. She dodged, but the warrior anticipated her movement. Its armored fist struck her shoulder, sending her sprawling. The Vashtar loomed over her. "I am Commander Vrex, leader of the Genesis Corps. You will come with me, human. Your blood belongs to us now." Kate tried to rise, but her body wouldn't respond. The blow had done more damage than she realized. Ember attacked again, breathing fire at Vrex. But the commander swatted the small dragon away. Then Lyra was there, standing between Kate and the Vashtar commander. Her staff discarded, her hands empty, but the constellation patterns on her skin blazed with impossible brightness. "You cannot have her," Lyra said, her voice resonating with power. "The human gave her blood freely out of compassion. You seek to take by force. That is the difference between us. That has always been the difference." Vrex laughed. "Then die, princess." The Vashtar reached for Lyra, its phase shifted body immune to normal attacks, but Lyra didn't attempt to strike. Instead, she placed her hands on the commander's armored chest. The constellation patterns on her skin flowed like liquid light spreading to the Vashtar armor. Vrex screamed as the patterns covered him, his phased body suddenly solidifying. How Vrex gasped, struggling to move. "You exist between realities," Lyra said, her voice calm. "I exist in both thanks to the human blood. That gives me perspective. You lack the ability to see. Connections you cannot." The commander struggled harder, but the constellation patterns held him immobile, like living chains binding him to normal space. Kate rose shakily to her feet, retrieving her knife. With the Vashtar commander now solid, she drove the blade into a weak point in his armor. The Genesis leader fell. The remaining Vashtar soldiers, seeing their commander defeated, fell back, regrouping. Lyra swayed, her face pale from the effort. Kate caught her before she could fall. The princess looked different now. The constellation patterns had spread, covering more of her body. Her eyes glowed with inner light, silver and amber swirling together. "What did you do to him?" Kate asked. "I brought him fully into our reality," Lyra explained. "Phase technology works by existing partially in another dimension. I can see both now, touch both. The human perspective combined with Ilarian perception. A new explosion rocked the sanctuary larger than before. Part of the ceiling collapsed, crushing defenders and attackers alike. The main attack was a diversion. Elder Sylvain shouted. "They have breached the lower levels. They approach the core from below." Kate helped Lyra stand. "We need to reach the core first," she said. The princess nodded, calling to Ember. The small dragon returned to them. His scales singed but otherwise unharmed. "There is a direct way," Elder Moraine said, approaching them. "The royal path. Only those of the bloodline may walk it. Take us there," Kate urged. The elder led them to a seemingly solid crystal wall, placing her ancient hand against its surface. The crystal responded, flowing like water, creating an opening. "This path leads directly to the Nexus core," Moraine explained. "Only those of royal blood may pass. Others who attempt it are lost. Between dimensions." Lyra looked at Kate, her transformed eyes serious. "You carry my blood now as I carry yours," she said. "The path should recognize you." "Should?" Kate asked, raising an eyebrow. The princess smiled faintly. "It has never been tested." Behind them, the sounds of battle grew louder. The Vashtar forces had regrouped, pushing the defenders back once more. Kate could hear the distinctive heavy footsteps of more Genesis core warriors approaching. "We have no choice," Kate said. Kate woke to find Ember nestled against her neck, his small body warm and comforting. The ship's crystal walls pulsed with a soft blue light. She sat up, feeling surprisingly refreshed. Despite everything that had happened, Lyra stood at the control pillar, her hands resting lightly on its surface. The constellation patterns on her skin glowed in perfect rhythm with the ship's crystal walls. She turned as Kate approached, her silver and amber eyes seeming to see beyond physical reality. "You slept well," Lyra said. It was not a question. Kate nodded, checking her combat suit systems. The damage remained, but her body felt strong, rested. "How long was I out?" "Nearly 20 hours, Lyra said. "We have covered much distance. The sanctuary is close now." 20 hours, Kate frowned. "That can't be right. I never sleep more than 6. The bond with the ship through Ember," Lyra explained. "It accelerated your healing. Your body needed rest to recover from the blood transfer and the emergency maneuvering." Kate looked out through the transparent hull. The landscape below had changed dramatically. They were flying over a vast ocean, its waters not blue but a deep purple that shimmered with bioluminescent life. In the distance, massive stone formations rose from the sea like the ruins of ancient buildings. "What is that?" Kate asked, pointing to the structures. "The first city," Lyra said. "The original Ilarian settlement from when we arrived on this world 30,000 years ago. It is mostly submerged now only. The highest towers remain above water." Kate stared in amazement. The towers were enormous, easily a mile high each, and those were just the visible portions. The complete structures must have been unimaginably vast. Your people built those, Kate asked. We grew them, Lyra corrected. The ancient Alarians did not build as your people do. They sang to the living stone, guided it, shaped it through thought and will. The first city was a single organism, a living entity that housed millions, the ship continued, over the ancient ruins moving toward a mountain range that rose in the distance. The peaks were unlike any mountains Kate had seen. They were perfectly symmetrical, their sides smooth as glass reflecting the light of the systems. Twin suns, Ember chirped, excitedly flying circles around the ship's interior. His scales shifted through rainbow colors before settling on a deep blue that matched the ocean below. He senses the sanctuary. Lyra explained. We are getting close. Kate noticed something strange about the princess's appearance. Her skin had always been blue, but now it seemed to have depth, as if the constellation patterns were not on her skin, but somehow inside it, extending into another dimension. When she moved, the effect was subtle but unmistakable. You're still changing, Kate said. Lyra nodded, touching her face. The transformation continues. Your blood awakened something in my genetic structure, something that has been dormant for generations. Is it hurting you? Kate asked. Concerned? No, Lyra smiled. It feels right. Like remembering something long forgotten. The old texts speak of the Ascended Ones, our ancestors who could walk between dimensions, perceive the cosmic weave, manipulate reality through thought alone. They were not gods, but they were more than we are now. What happened to them? Kate asked. They chose to limit themselves. Lyra said. The powers they wielded were too great, too dangerous. They saw that such abilities without perfect wisdom would lead to destruction. So they locked away. Their gifts diluted their bloodline until we became what we are now, and my blood is undoing that. Kate said, understanding, dawning, not undoing. Lyra shook her head, creating something new. Your DNA has qualities, ours lacks adaptability, evolutionary potential. Where our genetic structure is rigid, yours is flexible. Where we perfect a single path, you explore thousands. Your blood isn't returning me to what my ancestors were. It is creating a third option. Kate looked out at the approaching mountains, trying to process what this meant for Earth, for humans, for the fragile alliance between their peoples. You fear what this means, Lyra said, sensing her thoughts. Wouldn't you? Kate replied. If you discovered that mixing your blood with mine could fundamentally change human evolution, Earth would want to understand it, control it. There would be those who would want to exploit it. Lyra nodded grimly. That is why the Vashtar hunt us. They have always sought to reclaim the ancient powers through any means necessary. If they learn that human blood is the key. The ship suddenly changed course, veering toward a narrow valley between two of the glass mountains. Ember chirped in alarm, flying to Kate's shoulder. What is it? Kate asked, feeling the dragon's tension. Lyra frowned, her hands pressing harder on the control pillar. Vashtar ships ahead. They have found the direct path to the sanctuary. We must take another route. The ship descended rapidly, entering the valley. The glass mountains rose on either side, their surfaces, reflecting and refracting the sunlight, creating complex patterns of light and shadow. Kate noticed strange markings on the mountain surfaces, symbols and images that seemed to move and change as they passed. Are those decorations? Kate asked, pointing to the markings. History, Lyra said. The mountains record all that happens on Alaris. They are memory crystals on a planetary scale. The images you see are events from thousands of years ago, preserved in the crystalline matrix. The ship turned sharply, navigating between narrowing valley walls. The space was barely wide enough for the teardrop vessel. Lyra guided it with extraordinary precision, her movements fluid and certain. Something troubling happened while you slept, Lyra said, her voice soft. My communication with the ship deepened. I saw things, Kate. Vashtar movements all across Alaris. This is not a simple border skirmish. They have mobilized their entire fleet. This is a full invasion. Kate felt cold, dread spreading through her chest. If the Vashtar conquered Alaris, what would happen to Earth? Would they come for humans next, seeing them as a resource to be exploited for their blood? How many ships? Kate asked, her military training taking over. Hundreds, Lyra said. Perhaps more. They have been planning this for years, waiting for the right moment. The assassination attempt on me was just the beginning. What makes now the right moment? Kate asked the conclave. Lyra explained, all Ilarian elders will gather at the sanctuary in 3 days to renew our connection with the cosmic weave. It happens once every 100 years. The Vashtar intend to strike when our leadership is concentrated in one place. The valley opened into a vast basin surrounded by the glass mountains. In the center stood a structure that defied comprehension. A massive crystal formation that seemed to exist partly in normal space and partly elsewhere. Its upper spires faded in and out of visibility, as if phasing between dimensions. The sanctuary of stars. Lyra said, reverence in her voice. The heart of Ilarian civilization. Kate stared in awe. The structure was beautiful beyond words. It resembled a castle made of light, constantly shifting, changing, yet somehow eternal. It hurt her eyes to look at certain parts of it as if those sections existed in spectrums she couldn't perceive. Ember chirped solemnly from Kate's shoulder, his eyes fixed on the sanctuary. The ship descended toward a platform that extended from the main structure. As they approached, Kate saw figures gathering below, Ilarians dressed in flowing robes, their blue skin marked with various patterns, though none had the constellation markings that Lyra bore. They sensed something different about us, Lyra said. The ship, too. Our arrival has been noticed. The vessel landed gently on the platform. The crystal walls hummed one final time, then fell silent. The door appeared in the hull, sliding open to reveal the gathered Ilarians. Kate checked her weapon out of habit, but Lyra placed a gentle hand on her arm. They will not harm you, she said. But they will fear what you represent. What we represent together. Kate nodded, understanding. The mixing of their species was unprecedented, potentially dangerous. She followed Lyra from the ship, Ember still perched on her shoulder. The gathered Ilarians stepped back as they emerged, their silver eyes widening at the sight of Lyra's transformed appearance. Several gasped when they saw the human and the guardian dragon together. Princess Lyra. A tall Ilarian stepped forward, his robes more elaborate than the others, his face ancient with deep blue skin that bordered on black. What has happened to you? Your essence, it sings a different song. Elder Sylvain. Lyra bowed respectfully. I was attacked by Vashtar assassins struck with royal bane. I would have died but for this human warrior, Kate Foster of Earth. She gave her blood to save me. The elder looked at Kate, his ancient eyes seeming to peer into her soul. A human gave blood to an Ilarian. Royal, this is unprecedented, dangerous. Lyra stood straighter, the constellation patterns on her skin glowing brighter. It saved my life and it has awakened something, elder. Something. The ancient texts only hinted at. I can see that, Elder Sylvain said, his voice grave. The convergence has begun then, earlier than foretold. Come, you must both meet the full council. And quickly, the Vashtar approach. Kate followed as they were led into the sanctuary. The interior was even more incredible than the exterior. Corridors shifted and changed as they walked, spaces expanding or contracting. Seemingly at random, light flowed like water along the walls and ceiling. The entire structure felt alive, aware. Ember stayed close to Kate, occasionally flying ahead to investigate something before returning to her shoulder. The small dragon seemed both excited and nervous. What is this place, really? Kate asked Lyra as they walked. It feels alive. Lyra finished for her. It is. The sanctuary is the oldest living entity. On Alaris, it grew from a single crystal seed planted by the first ones when they arrived. It exists partially in our dimension and partially in others. It is a nexus point, a place where realities. The forest grew darker as Kate and Princess Lyra moved swiftly through the crystal trees. Ember flew ahead, scouting the path. His tiny body glowing faintly in the shadows, Kate kept her blaster ready, watching for Vashtar patrols. We need to reach My hidden ship, Lyra said, her voice stronger with each passing minute. It is not far. Kate nodded but kept her thoughts to herself. The princess seemed different somehow, more graceful, more alert. Her movements had a fluid quality that seemed almost impossible. Her skin still bore the constellation patterns from the blood transfusion glowing softly in the darkness. "How do you feel?" Kate asked. Lyra paused, looking down at her hands. "Strange. Like I am more than I was. The poison is gone, but your essence remains. I can feel it flowing through me, changing me. Is that bad?" Kate frowned, worried that she had caused some irreversible damage. "Not bad." Lyra smiled. "Different. The royal bloodline of Alaris has remained pure for 10,000 years, we believed. It was necessary to maintain our connection to the stars, but now I feel." Her voice trailed off. What Kate prompted. "Everything," Lyra whispered. "I feel everything. The trees breathing the soil, shifting the stars, singing. I never felt it so clearly before." Ember returned chirping excitedly. He landed on Kate's shoulder, his scales shifting to match her uniform again. The small dragon seemed to have adopted her. Lyra tilted her head, watching them. "Curious, he treats you as his second bonded. This has never happened before. A guardian dragon bonds with one Alarian for life." Kate reached up, scratching under Ember's chin. The dragon made a purring sound and nuzzled her hand. "Vashtar patrol ahead," Lyra suddenly whispered, ducking behind a large crystal formation. "He must hide." Kate followed her, taking cover. She hadn't heard anything. "How did you sense them?" Lyra explained, her silver and amber eyes wide. "Their thoughts are like dark clouds moving through the light." Kate stared at her. "Can you read minds now?" "Not exactly." Lyra touched a nearby crystal tree and it dimmed as if responding to her. "Your blood has awakened abilities that have been dormant in my line for generations. The Alarian royal family once had powers beyond imagination. We could speak to all living, things, shape energy, command the very fabric of reality. And my blood did this," Kate whispered. Lyra nodded. "Human DNA has something unique, something adaptive. We suppressed our abilities because they grew too dangerous. But your blood, it acts like a key, unlocking what was hidden, but in a new way, a controlled way." The sound of harsh voices interrupted them. Kate peered around the crystal, seeing 3 Vashtar warriors. Their bodies were tall and thin, covered in chitinous armor that looked like it was part of their bodies. Their faces were humanoid, but with large black eyes and no visible nose. "They speak of a blood hunt," Lyra translated. "We must not be discovered." The warriors moved closer, scanning the area with strange devices Kate gripped, her blaster calculating her odds. 3 against 1, not great, but possible. Especially if she had surprise on her side. "No," Lyra touched her arm. "Killing them will only bring more." Kate nodded but kept her weapon ready. The Vashtar moved closer, less than 20 feet away now. Ember grew very still on her shoulder, his body heat increasing slightly. One of the warriors said something, pointing at the ground. Kate saw with horror that a drop of her blood still glowing faintly on a leaf. The warrior reached for the leaf. Lyra closed her eyes and the forest around them suddenly bloomed with light. Every crystal tree, every flower, every plant began to glow brightly. The Vashtar warriors stumbled back, shielding their eyes, confused by the sudden illumination. "Now," Lyra grabbed her hand, pulling her away. They ran through the forest as the light show continued behind them, creating a disorienting display for their pursuers. "That was amazing," Kate said when they were far enough away. "How did you?" I asked. "The forest to help us," Lyra said simply. "I did not command it, I asked, and it responded. The old ways taught domination, but through your blood, I see a different path. Partnership." They continued moving through the increasingly dense crystal growths. Kate noticed that plants seemed to bend away from their path, making travel easier. Ember flew ahead again, chirping happily, as if enjoying this game of hide-and-seek. Kate checked her scanner. The transfusion had left her slightly lightheaded, but otherwise, fine. The princess, however, was showing increasingly strange readings. Her DNA continued to reconfigure, incorporating human elements. The scanner warned of unknown energy patterns building in her cellular structure. "Your people and mine," Lyra said as they walked. "The alliance is new." "Yes, only established official contact 18 months ago," Kate confirmed. "Basic diplomatic relations, minimal cultural exchange, some trade agreements, and the Vashtar." Lyra asked, "What does Earth know of them?" "Only that they're your enemies," Kate said. "We've had no direct contact. The Vashtar were once like us," Lyra explained. 10,000 years ago, we were one people. But there was a schism. The Vashtar believed our powers should be used to conquer, to rule. They sought to breed the strongest bloodlines to create living weapons. We chose a different path. We chose to limit our powers, to suppress them, for the good of all ahead. Through the trees, Kate saw a small clearing, and what looked like a pile of stones and vines. But as they approached, the illusion faded, revealing a sleek silver ship, shaped like a teardrop. "My scout vessel," Lyra said, touching a hidden panel. The ship hummed to life, outer surfaces glowing with the same constellation patterns that marked her skin. Kate stared in amazement as a doorway appeared in the seamless hull. Hilarion technology was far beyond Earth's in some ways, especially their energy manipulation and biotech. Inside, the ship was larger than it appeared from outside. The walls were lined with living crystal that pulsed with light. The controls were minimal, just a central pillar, with handprints embedded in the surface. Ember flew to a small perch near the pillar, settling in comfortably. "Where are we going?" Kate asked as the door sealed behind them. "The Sanctuary of Stars," Lyra said, placing her hands on the pillar, "the heart of Ilarian civilization. The elders must know what has happened, what is happening still." The ship hummed louder, the crystal walls pulsing faster. Lyra gasped as the constellation patterns on her skin flared brightly in response. "The ship, it recognizes the change in me," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "It responds differently." Kate felt a vibration through the floor. The ship was powering up, but she saw no engines, no thrusters, nothing that looked like conventional propulsion. "The royal vessels are bonded to our bloodline," Lyra explained, seeing her confusion. "They respond to our essence, but now my essence carries yours. The ship is adapting, learning." The small vessel rose silently into the air, the outer hull becoming transparent, giving them a view of the crystal forest below. Kate could see Vashtar ships in the distance, searching the area methodically. "They hunt for us," Lyra said, her hand still on the pillar. "Not just for me, Kate. For you as well. Your blood has value beyond measure to them." "Why?" Kate asked. "The Vashtar have been trying to recreate our ancestral powers through selective breeding and genetic manipulation," Lyra explained. "They seek the key to unlocking the old abilities. If they discover that human blood can activate dormant Ilarian genes." Kate understood the implications. Earth would become a target. The Vashtar would see humans as a resource to be harvested. The ship accelerated, moving faster than Kate expected. The forest blurred beneath them, then gave way to rolling plains covered in what looked like purple grass. Fields of crystal formations jutted from the landscape like frozen waves. "How far to this sanctuary?" Kate asked, checking her weapons and remaining supplies. 3 days if we avoid detection," Lyra said. "Less if we risk it." Ember chirped from his perch, the dragon scales now shifting through colors rapidly. "He agrees with caution," Lyra translated, smiling. The little dragon flew to Kate, landing on her shoulder again. His warm body was comforting somehow. She reached up, stroking his head. "I feel like he understands me," Kate said. "He does." Lyra nodded. Guardian dragons form mental bonds with their Ilarian partners. They feel emotions, sense intentions, communicate in images and feelings. He has formed a bond with you, something unprecedented. The ship suddenly lurched to the side, alarms flashing through the crystal walls. Lyra gasped, her hands pressing harder. "Against the pillar Vashtar interceptors," Lyra said. "They found us." Kate looked through the transparent hull, seeing 3 black ships approaching fast. Their design was angular, aggressive. with forward sections that resembled claws. Can this ship fight? Kate asked, reaching for her blaster. Though she knew it would be useless against ships, it is not designed for combat, Lyra said. But it has defenses. The ship accelerated again, banking hard to the right. The Vashtar vessels followed, firing what looked like bolts of green energy. The shots missed, but not by much. Kate watched, feeling helpless as Lyra guided the ship through evasive maneuvers. The princess seemed to be struggling, her face strained with concentration. "Let me help," Kate said, moving beside her. How Lyra gasped as the ship shuddered from a near miss, I don't know. But Ember chirped loudly, flying from Kate's shoulder to a small depression in the floor that Kate had noticed before. The depression was shaped like a handprint, but smaller. "Wants you to place your hand there," Lyra said, surprised. "It is a secondary control only for emergencies." Kate placed her hand in the depression. Immediately, she felt a connection like an electric current running through her body. The ship's crystal walls flashed bright gold. "Something new," Lyra said in awe. "The ship is reconfiguring, adapting to your genetic signature." The teardrop vessel suddenly changed its outer hull, shifting F. Lieutenant Kate Foster moved through the strange crystal forest, her boots making no sound on the soft purple moss. The tall trees glowed with inner light that cast blue and green shadows all around her. She had been separated from her squad for almost 6 hours now, and her comm unit gave only static. Kate checked her weapon and the damage to her combat suit. The right shoulder plate was cracked and her helmet visor had a small fracture running along the left side. Not good, but she could still fight if needed. The mission was supposed to be simple: scout the border region of the newly discovered Elaris system and report back. No contact with the natives, no interference, just observation. But everything went wrong when the Vashtar attack. Ships appeared seemingly from nowhere. Kate remembered Captain Lowell shouting orders as their ship took heavy fire. Then the emergency pods launching. Then darkness as her pod spun through the atmosphere of the alien world. A strange sound broke her thoughts. Something like a bird, but with a musical tone. Kate froze her hand, moving to her blaster. She crouched behind a crystal trunk and waited. The sound came again, closer now. Kate held her breath. Then she saw it. A small creature gliding between the trees. Its body was covered in shimmering scales that changed color from red to orange to gold. Its wingspan was no more than 2 feet, but it moved with incredible grace. The creature looked like the dragons from Earth Stories, but miniature and beautiful. The tiny dragon circled a clearing ahead, then let out another musical cry. This time the sound was urgent, almost desperate. Kate knew she should stay hidden, should focus on finding her team and getting off this planet. But something about the creature's distress call pulled her forward. She moved slowly, keeping to the shadows until she reached the edge of the clearing. What she saw made her gasp. A woman lay on the ground, surrounded by strange, glowing flowers. Her skin was pale, blue with markings that reminded Kate of star patterns. Her long silver hair spread around her like a halo. The woman wore a gown that seemed to be made of living light, constantly shifting in color and pattern. Kate knew immediately this was not a human. The woman was Ilarian, one of the mysterious elf-like aliens that Earth had established first contact with only 18 months ago. And not just any Ilarian. The intricate crown of crystal and living metal on her brow marked her as royalty. Small dragon landed beside the fallen woman, nuzzling her face and making soft, keening sounds. The woman did not move. Kate hesitated. Only a fool would get involved in alien politics, but something was wrong. The area around the fallen woman showed signs of violence. Crystal trees were shattered, earth torn up. What looked like weapon burns scarred the ground. Kate recognized an ambush site when she saw one. The Marine moved into the clearing, her training taking over. She scanned the area for threats, finding none before kneeling beside the fallen royal. The tiny dragon hissed at her, baring needle-sharp teeth. "Easy, little one," Kate said softly. "I'm not here to hurt her." The dragon watched her with intelligent golden eyes, then made a sad chirping sound. Kate activated her medical scanner, running it over the alien woman. The results made her frown. The device was designed for human physiology, but it could detect some basics. The woman was alive, but barely. Her life signs were weak and fading. Fast, Kate noticed a wound on the woman's side, a small puncture that glowed with sickly green light. Poison. The scanner confirmed it, showing unknown toxins spreading through the alien bloodstream. Lieutenant Kate Foster, Earth Alliance Marines. Kate said to the unconscious woman, "I don't know if you can hear me, but you're badly hurt." The dragon chirped again, landing on Kate's shoulder, making her jump. The creature was warm like a small furnace, but it didn't burn. Kate had the strange sense it was trying to communicate. The alien woman suddenly gasped, her eyes fluttering open. They were pure silver with no pupils visible. Kate had seen images of Alarians in briefings, but seeing one up close was different. The woman was both alien and beautiful, in a way that defied human standards. "Help, Ember." The woman whispered, her voice like wind through crystal. "My people. The ambush, Ember." Kate looked at the small dragon. "Is that your friend here?" The woman nodded weakly. "I am Lyra Starweaver, princess of the Ilarian court. The Vashtar they attacked with royal bane, a poison that targets our bloodline." Kate checked her scanner again. The poison was moving faster now. The princess had minutes at most. "Sorry," Kate said. "I don't have antidotes for alien poisons." Lyra reached up her hand, touching Kate's face. Her fingers were cool like silk. "I know human, but your presence here is not chance. The stars foretold. The crimson gift." Kate frowned, confused by the cryptic words Ember the dragon flew down to, Lyra's side curling against her neck. The creature's scales had turned blue, matching the princess's skin tone. Kate made a decision. She might not understand alien biology, but she understood dying when she saw it, and Marines never left anyone behind. "Enemy or ally, I have basic medical supplies," Kate said, opening her field kit. "Nothing fancy, but maybe something will help." She tried a general antibiotic injection, but her scanner showed no effect. The poison continued to spread. The princess was growing, paler, her skin losing its glow. "Princess Lyra, what is this royal bane?" Kate asked. "Is there an antidote?" "Blood," Lyra whispered. "Our healers use blood transfusions from unaffected royals to filter the poison, but I am the last of my direct line here. Others. Too far." Kate looked at her scanner again, at the dying princess and at the small dragon watching her with intelligent eyes. The readout showed the alien blood was based on copper, not iron like humans, but the basic structure was similar. Carbon-based, cellular oxygen carrying. Kate had an idea. "A desperate one. I'm going to try something, princess," she said. "It might kill you faster, but doing nothing definitely will." Lyra nodded weakly. "Trust the stars." Kate removed her gauntlet and rolled up her sleeve. She took a sterilized needle from her medkit and inserted it into her arm, drawing a vial of her own blood. Earth and Alaris had only known about each other for less than 2 years. No one had ever tried mixing their biologies. This could cause a fatal reaction. Kate prepared a transfusion tube. "You said royal blood helps fight this poison." "Am not royal, but human blood is different." "Maybe different enough." Ember watched Kate carefully, his tail twitching. The dragon seemed to understand Kate, connected the tube to the princess's arm, and began the transfusion. The effect was immediate and terrifying. Lyra convulsed, her back arching. Her skin began to glow, not with its normal iridescence, but with patterns that pulsed and shifted. The patterns looked like star maps, constellations Kate had never seen. Ember shrieked a sound so piercing Kate feared they would be discovered. She moved to stop the transfusion, but the dragon blocked her. His wings spread wide. Kate watched in amazement as the sickly green glow of the poison began to fade from Lyra's wound. The patterns on her skin grew brighter, pulsing in time with her heartbeat. Then suddenly they stabilized, forming a permanent constellation pattern across her blue skin. Lyra gasped, her eyes flying open. They were still silver, but now flecked with amber, the same color as Kate's own eyes. The princess sat up, looking at her hands in wonder. "The poison," she whispered. "It is gone. But something else. The song of your essence. I can hear it inside me." Kate checked her scanner. The readings made no sense. The poison's molecular structure had been completely broken down. But there were other changes too. The princess's DNA was reconfiguring itself, incorporating aspects of Kate's human genetics. Your blood, Kate. Lyra said, her voice stronger now. The human warrior gave his blood to a dying alien princess. What has followed will be beyond belief. Kate helped the princess to her feet. We need to move. The Vashtar might come back to check their handiwork. Lyra nodded, then stopped, looking at Kate with new eyes. You saved my life, human, but you do not understand what you have done. Our bloodlines have never mixed before. The ancient texts speak of such a possibility, but it was forbidden. Why? Kate asked. Because. Lyra touched a nearby crystal tree and it instantly bloomed with light. Because it changes everything, Ember chirped happily, landing on Kate's shoulder. The dragon nuzzled her cheek, his scales now shifting to match the color of her uniform. He has bonded with you, Lyra said with wonder. That has never happened. A guardian dragon bonding with an off-worlder. Kate looked at the small creature. Is that unusual? Lyra laughed, a sound like crystal bells. The royal Ilarian princess touched her own face, tracing the new constellation patterns on her skin. Nothing about this is usual, Kate Foster of Earth. You have awakened something that has slept for 10,000 years, and now the Vashtar will hunt us both. Kate checked her weapon and looked at the sky. The twin moons of Ilaris were rising, casting silver light through the crystal forest. She could see ships moving in the distance. Vashtar patrols searching. Can you travel? Princess Kate asked. Lyra stood straighter, her body seeming to gather strength with each passing moment. I can. And I know where we must go. The Sanctuary of Stars. The elders must know what has happened here. Your blood carries something unique, Kate. Something that has changed me in ways I am only beginning to understand. Kate nodded. Though she didn't fully comprehend what was happening, she knew her duty. Protect the princess, get to safety, then find her team. What neither of them noticed was that where Kate's blood had dripped onto the forest floor, tiny crystals were forming, crystals that hummed with energy and grew with each passing second, crystals that would soon change the fate of 3 civilizations forever.